Well, hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking about millennialism, and we're on the third category today. So basically, millennialism regards the 1,000 years, like a lot of the numbers in the book of Revelation, to be completely symbolic. It's like it's sort of describing a long period of time. Now, I sort of found this hard to distinguish millennialism from post-millennialism, really, because post-millennialism also doesn't see that 1,000 year reign as a literal 1,000 years, because they see it as the workings of the church bringing about a healthy, optimistic approach before Christ would come back. So I suppose the question would be with our millennialism, when did the 1,000 years begin, or what is that period of time referring to? Um, like I said, some see it as an expression that refers to a long period of time extending from the first coming of Christ to his second coming. So I was wondering actually with our millennialism, because the word means no millennium really, would it also remove the idea of the second coming? But it does seem to hold on to the idea still that there is a second coming. But really, I think what I'm noticing the difference is primarily post millennialism sort of sees the millennium period as the church doing its part to make the world a better place, get the way ready for Christ to come back. Our millennialism seems to focus more on the Spirit of Christ through the Holy Spirit coming into our lives over and over again. Christ coming into the world, which I think is a healthy response. I mean, we don't just have to wait till the second coming for Christ to come. He is here right now in our lives. He is doing things, and so there is definitely something very important to say there. They also see that during this time, Satan's power has been limited by the preaching of the gospel. I know we mentioned that in the post-millennial video. Some say that the last days began with Jesus, and that the outpouring of the Holy Spirit of Pentecost was the last day, as the prophet Joel talks about. So we've always been in the last day, and this is the symbolic millennial period that we're living in right now. This author here also talks about instead of the optimism of postmillennialism or the pessimism of premillennialism, the amillennial view does take seriously the realism of Jesus' parable of the weeds among the wheat, namely that good and evil will develop side by side until the harvest, which is at the end of the world. So it does acknowledge that this millennial period is not a grand, perfect age, but rather good and evil still exist, but Christ comes again through the Spirit. Now, the only view really that sees the millennial period as a time of completion good would be premillennialism, because Christ would be here then to reign with us for those 1,000 years. Excuse me. But I did also mention that people tend to focus on the idea that many humans will still want to reject Christ, even when even if he was here physically. So that's just some thoughts on amillennialism. Not much to say really, other than what we've already mentioned in the other two videos. Just a bit of history. It looks like Augustine was an amillennialist. Amillennialism certainly predates post-millennialism. I think post-millennialism is a later idea. But yeah, I suppose my view is I very much seem to marry together post-millennialism and amillennialism, because I just like that idea of having an optimistic approach to the world rather than maybe a pessimistic approach if you went with premillennialism. I'm not saying that all premillennialists are like that. This idea that the world is getting so bad, Christ needs to come and fix it. But certainly, post-millennialism, the church bringing about this golden age in the best way that it can, and it'll never be perfect, and they never will reach completion. But we can do our part. But also, our millennialism stressing that Christ comes into our lives time and time again. So yes, there is something very powerful about this. Those are the three dominant positions on this millennial passage in Revelation 20. Now, in the next video, I'm going to share some other thoughts which does not come under these three titles, but different thoughts on which period of time we are living in right now, looking at Revelation 20. And yeah, so the next video is looking at the time period that is known as a little while. Satan will be let out to deceive the nations once again for a little while. What exactly is the little while? So, yeah, stay tuned and we'll check that out next. So, thanks a lot. Please comment if you have any thoughts. Again, I haven't covered everything, just some thoughts and reflections from my behalf. So, thank you.